Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
The San Diego Council on Literacy brings you Literacy for All with your host, Jose Cruz.
Welcome to the show. I'm Jose Cruz from the San Diego Council on Literacy, and with us today from the Diamond Educational Excellence Partnership is Gina Gianzero. She is the Executive Director, and welcome to the show, Gina.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We're so glad to have you. Today, we're going to talk a bit in our segments about collective impact efforts and such. And you're running deep, which in my view is probably, if not the best, among the best collective impact efforts in San Diego County. Tell us what you do at DEEP, at the Diamond Educational Excellence Partnership.
Well, in a nutshell, DEEP is about mobilizing community resources and partners to improve educational outcomes for children attending public school in Southeast San Diego. And our real focus right now is making sure children can read proficiently by the end of third grade. Now,
the third grade marker comes up a lot. Why does that? What happens at third grade or after third grade where we're having reading proficiency or reading at grade level, as we say, is so important at that point?
Third grade is often seen as a line of demarcation in the reading process between learning to read and reading to learn. And so children who are unable to do things like recognize words, decode words, the phonics of reading, they are going to struggle later with the reading comprehension and understanding in subjects like history and science. And there's even some research out there that shows that children from communities like Southeast San Diego who don't read proficiently by the end of third grade are as much as 4 times less likely to graduate high school on time.
And I've seen that statistic too. There are a number of things coming into play here, and we tend to focus upon the educational aspects. But you mentioned in our introduction the partnerships. And part of what's taking place is not just that there's maybe a shortage of resources that relate to education, but shortage of resources all the way around that relate to family stability. And I'm gathering that has a bit to do with why you need the diverse partners that you have for this project.
Right. Certainly, addressing the educational challenge is complex because it's a multifaceted problem with roots both inside and outside the school walls. So we have challenged ourselves to offer a continuum of services and supports to children and families, really focused on that early end of the education pipeline, making sure that children have enriching early learning experiences that are going to prepare them for kindergarten success, and that once they're in school, they have strong, high-quality teaching and learning in early literacy, and that when they're outside school, beyond the school day, they have opportunities to extend that learning and build upon, reinforce what they've done during the school day.
Very good. In the past, when we've talked about collective impact in the early days, I would introduce that concept to people, and they would say, oh, that's collaboration. But it's not. It's something different. I mean, we've worked together before, but there's something about the way that you're bringing agencies together that's different than just we're all going to sit around and we have a conversation about how to deal with the challenges we're dealing with. So we talk about working in silos, and at the same time, there's something that you're doing that's connecting all these agencies, bringing them together, which is a challenge in itself, but bringing them together and having them work together towards one or two main goals. Can you talk about that challenge?
Sure. I do want to say that I think the term collective impact has become a term of art now that might mean different things to different people. For us, we do demonstrate many of the features of what people call collective impact. We
Right.
do have a common understanding of the problem, and we do have a shared mission, and we use common metrics to measure our progress. I think the value that the Diamond Educational Excellence Partnership adds is really a research-based theory of action that brings partners together around 3 strategic priorities: reading ready for kinder, reading by 3rd grade, and learning beyond the classroom in a coherent way. Everything we do is grounded in research, so we're not just randomly funding a program here, a service there, and we're tying everything we do to 3 or 4 partner schools in the community. So we work very closely with local elementary school principals. We also work actively with the San Diego School District, the area trustee, school board trustee, and we mobilize these partners around each of the 3 strategic priorities.
I had meant to ask this question in a different way, so I'm glad you did the clarification, because when I say collective impact to you, I see something different. And so your description in terms of this being a research-based effort with diverse partners is telling us a lot more than what we would call collective impact. And if you know collective impact, and I know that you do, and I've studied it a bit, it's very prescriptive, very structured, daunting, for one. I don't know that anyone's ever done the model. It's a good guide, but I think the idea of taking a structure like that and applying it to a community and looking at your own resources and strengths makes it different, makes it unique. I wanted to ask you about just some of your experience, because I want to see, you've been doing this like for 4 or 5 years now with Deep. How long have you been
with
doing
Deep? Officially 5 years, yeah.
Very
and
good.
We just became a nonprofit in January.
Congratulations, and because that's a job in itself. And so I've been doing literacy work in San Diego County for 33 years. I hadn't ever bumped into you, and all of a sudden, here's Gina Gianzero and forming this organization, this group, bringing together this group of people. And I know, and we will talk about your partners too. It did not have a name, so it wasn't Deep at that point. But it's like, where did this person come from? Because she's awesome. You're doing a great job. And I was so glad to be part of the work that you were doing in the early parts, not the very first part, because I know there's foundational things that have to happen. But you brought to, and I'm gathering that's where you received the attention and bring it into this project that people in the community saw a need. But you brought with you a skill set, experience, and I know that you've done some work with the National Center for Urban School Transformation. Tell us about that experience.
Right. So I really did come at this work from a content perspective. I was working with the National Center for Urban School Transformation, which is based at San Diego State, led by wonderful Dr. Joseph Johnson. And we studied high-performing urban schools all across the nation to look at what were the practices and structures and systems they had in place that enabled them to achieve despite enormous barriers to learning. And we actually saw that schools about 10 miles from here were doing really very well with their students. Many schools in Chula Vista, and they were winning the National Urban, the NCUST Award, National Center for Urban School Transformation Award for being high-performing schools. So when I was asked to do research on the state of education in Southeast San Diego, I clearly looked at the raw data, the primary data on performance, but through the lens of the work of the National Center for Urban School Transformation, because I used what I knew about what should be happening in high-performing schools to figure out what we might be doing in Southeast San Diego.
So this was an experience that you chose. Do teachers get into a program like this? And I'm asking that because I taught for a short bit, but it sure would have been helpful to have been part of a group that studied what successful schools do. So who are the people who engage in the National Center for Urban School transformation? Who becomes part of that?
In other words, who are the schools that are visited?
Who are the people like you? Why were you there? Were you a teacher?
Oh, well, no, I was hired by them. I have my doctorate in educational leadership.
Okay.
I've worked a great deal in schools. And being able to lead these evaluation teams also enabled me to begin to share some of those practices with principals who wanted to emulate what was happening in those schools.
Very good.
So the team over at NCUST is really a lot of former principals, former superintendents, researchers in the field, and they visit the schools, they study the schools, and at its annual conference, they share the best practices. So that's an important perspective that I used in the work in the Diamond community.
Right. We're going to go to break in a few, but I want to talk more about this because it's intriguing to me because you came in at a doctorate level. Is that accurate? And so why aren't, for example, the average educator being engaged in these kinds of projects to know what are the things they can be doing in practice to taking advantage of the information from the center so that we're doing better with our inner city schools. And so at break, we'll talk a little bit more about that and then just prop ourselves for a conversation about that because, what we're trying to do is deal with something that's a bit more, seems to be systematic. So we can talk about low-income communities. Let's see. I'm Jose Cruz. We're going to take a break. And you've been listening to Literacy for All Radio, powered by WS Radio, the worldwide leader in Internet talk.
Are you a small business or nonprofit? Securing Our eCity Foundation offers free cybersecurity seminars so businesses of every size can become more cyber safe. According to Forbes, just one cybercrime incident can cost a company over $15 million. Protect yourself, your employees, and your business before you fall victim to the nation's fastest growing crime. Go right now to securingourecity.org or call 619-630-2444.
Looking to be a successful entrepreneur? The virtual assistant industry continues to be a top choice for those looking to start their own business. The problem can be how to become a virtual assistant. Many turn to the Bible of the VA industry, the book, Virtual Assistant, the series, and it's the perfect guide for office managers, executive assistants, and other administrative professionals looking to make the transition from employee to successful business owner. Go to vatheseries.com to get your copy today.
Small businesses are the lifeblood of America's economy. Every Thursday, SBA Radio interviews industry professionals and is dedicated to provide small businesses with timely insights and innovations. Visit www.sbaradio.us for details.
Homeless veterans and their families are suffering and need our support, but many won't ask or don't know that help is within reach. Veterans Community Services is here to help. Amazingly, about 35% of the homeless in our neighborhoods are veterans with families. Low-income veterans or their friends are encouraged to contact Veterans Community Services and reach out for help with housing and other services. Call now, 800-974-9909.
Securing Our eCity Foundation is a nonprofit organization focused on cybersecurity awareness and education. Formed in 2011, their mission is to enable every San Diegan to live, work, and play safely in the cyber world. For more information, visit securingourecity.org or call 619-630-2444. securingourecity.org, 619-630-2444. securingourecity.org.
Donate cash, furniture, clothes, and other gently used household items to Father Joe's Villages and get a nice tax break in April. Every donation is tax deductible. Believe you can make a difference. Be Father Joe. Go to neighborhood.org or call 1-800-HOMELESS to donate today.
Life is full of misadventures, from car crashes to home fires to getting choked out on the mat. Yes, I said getting choked out because I'm Carlos Kramer, jiu-jitsu competitor, MMA and media personality, and mild-mannered insurance agent. You can follow my adventures on Kick-Ass Radio, and I can protect you from life's misadventures at Kramer Insurance. Home, auto, life, business, and workers' comp. We're at KramerINS.com, and I want you to join my world.